I walked into that hospital room to check on my cousin's friend, and there she was, completely alone, abandoned by everyone. What started as a simple favor turned into the greatest love story of my life. She had nobody, no family visiting, no boyfriend by her side, just empty chairs and silence. Today she's my wife, the love of my life, and what happened between that hospital bed and our wedding day will make you believe in destiny. Let me take you back to the beginning of this incredible journey. My name is Marcus, I'm 32 years old, and I had been single for about 2 years when this all happened. I was focused on my career, working as a financial analyst, living alone in my apartment, and honestly I had kind of given up on finding real love. I had been through a bad breakup, dated here and there, but nothing serious, nothing that felt right. My cousin Jennifer called me one afternoon, absolutely frantic, begging me to do her a favor. Her best friend from college, a woman named Olivia, had been in a terrible accident and was hospitalized with no one to check on her. Jennifer had just started a new job in Seattle and couldn't get time off to fly back. She asked if I could just visit Olivia, make sure she was okay, bring her some things she might need. I agreed because Jennifer was family and she sounded desperate. I figured it would take an hour, maybe 2. I'd visit this stranger, report back to my cousin, and get back to my normal life. I had absolutely no idea that I was about to meet the woman who would change everything, the woman who would become my wife, my partner, my entire world. I drove to Memorial Hospital on a rainy Thursday evening after work. I stopped by the gift shop and grabbed some flowers, just basic roses because showing up empty-handed felt wrong, even though I didn't know this person. I took the elevator to the 4th floor, found room 427, and knocked softly. A weak voice from inside said to come in. I pushed the door open and that's when I saw her for the first time. Olivia was lying in that hospital bed, her left leg elevated in a cast, her arm bandaged, monitors beeping around her, IV lines running into her hand. But what struck me immediately, what absolutely stopped me in my tracks, was how beautiful she was even in that condition. She had these incredible brown eyes, long dark hair spread across the pillow, and when she looked at me with confusion because she had no idea who I was, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. My heart actually skipped. I know that sounds like something from a movie, but it genuinely happened. I introduced myself, told her Jennifer had sent me. Her face softened immediately when I mentioned Jennifer's name. She tried to sit up a bit, winced in pain, and I rushed over to help her adjust the bed. That's when I noticed something that made my chest tighten. The room was completely bare, no flowers except the ones I had just brought. No balloons, no cards, no signs that anyone had visited. The chair next to her bed looked like it hadn't been sat in. I asked her if she needed anything, and she just shook her head, thanked me for coming, and said Jennifer didn't need to worry, but I could see in her eyes that she was struggling. I pulled up that empty chair and sat down, and I don't know what came over me, but instead of leaving after 5 minutes like I had planned, I asked her what happened. She hesitated at first, like she didn't want to burden a stranger with her problems, but then she started talking. She told me she had been hit by a car while crossing the street 3 weeks ago. The driver had run a red light, struck her, and fled the scene. She had a fractured femur, broken wrist, severe bruising, and a concussion. She had been in this hospital room for weeks, going through surgeries and recovery. Then I asked the question that changed everything. I asked where her family was, where her boyfriend was, why she was alone. Olivia's eyes filled with tears. She told me her parents had died in a plane crash when she was 21. She was an only child. She had been dating someone for 3 years, living together, planning a future. When the accident happened, he visited her twice, then told her he couldn't handle seeing her like this. He said it was too much, that he needed to focus on his own mental health, and he left. He actually broke up with her while she was lying in a hospital bed, recovering from being hit by a car. He had moved out of their apartment, taken most of their shared belongings, and blocked her number. Her friends, people she had known for years, had visited the first few days, then slowly stopped coming. Everyone had their excuses. Too busy with work, too far to drive, couldn't handle hospitals. One by one, they all disappeared. Even her employer had called to tell her they had to fill her position because they couldn't wait indefinitely for her to recover. She had lost her job, her relationship, her home, and was facing months of physical therapy with nobody to support her. The hospital social worker was trying to arrange for her to go to a rehabilitation facility because she couldn't take care of herself and had nowhere else to go. As she told me this story, tears rolling down her cheeks, apologizing for crying in front of a stranger, something inside me broke open. I looked at this beautiful, broken woman who had been abandoned by everyone who was supposed to love her, and I felt this overwhelming need to help her. But it was more than just sympathy. There was something about her, about the way she tried to stay strong even while falling apart, about her gentle voice and sad eyes that reached into my chest and grabbed my heart. I made a decision right there that shocked even myself. I told Olivia she wasn't going to any facility. I told her I had a spare bedroom in my apartment, that I worked from home 2 days a week and could help her with whatever she needed. I told her she could stay with me until she recovered and got back on her feet. She looked at me like I had lost my mind. She said I was a complete stranger, that she couldn't possibly accept such an offer, that it was too much to ask. I told her she wasn't asking, I was offering, and that nobody should have to recover alone. The truth is, I surprised myself with that offer. I had never done anything like that before. I was a pretty private person, liked my space, wasn't the type to make impulsive decisions, but something about Olivia made me want to protect her, to make sure she was okay, to be the person who didn't abandon her like everyone else had. It took some convincing, but she finally agreed. It took another week to get her discharged, to coordinate with doctors and arrange for home physical therapy. I spent that week preparing my apartment, moving furniture to make space for her wheelchair, installing grab bars in the bathroom, setting up the guest bedroom with everything she might need. My friends thought I was crazy. My cousin Jennifer was grateful, but concerned that I was taking on too much responsibility. But I felt certain this was the right thing to do. The day I brought Olivia home was unforgettable. I helped her from the wheelchair into my car, drove carefully to avoid any bumps that might hurt her, and then helped her into the apartment. She looked around at the space I had prepared, at the flowers I had put in her room, at the effort I had made, and she started crying again. She told me she couldn't believe a stranger was being kinder to her than people who had known her for years. Those first few weeks were challenging in ways I hadn't anticipated. I had to help Olivia with basic tasks, getting dressed, moving from the bed to the bathroom, preparing meals she could eat while sitting up. It was intimate and awkward at first, both of us trying to navigate this unusual situation. But slowly, we found our rhythm. I would work during the day while she rested or did her physical therapy exercises. In the evenings, we would have dinner together, watch movies, talk about our lives. And here's what I didn't expect. I started falling for her, not just caring about her recovery, but genuinely falling in love with who she was. I learned that Olivia was an artist, that she painted beautiful landscapes and portraits. She showed me photos of her work on her phone, and I was amazed by her talent. She told me she had been working at an art gallery before the accident, that she dreamed of having her own show someday. I learned that she loved classic movies, that she could quote entire scenes from Casablanca and Roman Holiday. I learned that she had the most incredible laugh, and getting her to laugh became my favorite thing in the world. I started noticing little things about her that made my heart race. The way she concentrated when she was doing her physical therapy exercises, determined to get stronger. The way she hummed softly when she was painting, completely lost in her art. The way she looked at me with gratitude and something else, something deeper, that I was afraid to name because I didn't want to make her uncomfortable while she was vulnerable and living in my home. About 2 months after she moved in, something shifted between us. We were watching a movie one night, sitting on the couch, and her hand accidentally brushed against mine. We both froze. Then slowly, she intertwined her fingers with mine. We sat there holding hands for the rest of the movie, neither of us saying anything, but both of us knowing that this had become more than just a caregiving situation. This had become something real. That night, after the movie ended, we finally talked about what was happening between us. Olivia told me she had been trying to fight her feelings because she didn't want me to think she was only interested because I was helping her. She didn't want me to feel obligated or to think she was taking advantage of my kindness. I told her the truth. I told her I had started falling for her the moment I walked into that hospital room, that every day with her had only made those feelings stronger, and that I had never felt this way about anyone in my entire life. We kissed that night for the first time. It was gentle and sweet and perfect. From that moment on, we stopped pretending we were just roommates or that I was just helping her out. We were together, really together, building something beautiful out of what had started as tragedy. Have you ever found love in an unexpected place? Have you ever met someone and just known they were meant to be in your life? Share your story in the comments because I'd love to hear about it. As Olivia got stronger physically, our relationship grew deeper emotionally. She moved from the guest bedroom to my bedroom. We talked about everything, our pasts, our dreams, our fears. She told me about losing her parents, about how lonely she had felt for years, about how the accident had made her feel like she was cursed to be alone. I told her about my failed relationships, about how I had stopped believing in real love, about how finding her had changed everything for me. 6 months after she moved in, Olivia was walking without assistance. She had regained her strength, her confidence and her hope for the future. She started painting again, setting up an easel in the corner of the living room. I would watch her work, completely mesmerized by her talent and her passion. She painted a portrait of us together, sitting on that same couch where we first held hands, and it was so beautiful, so full of emotion, that I knew I wanted to spend the rest of my life with this woman. But here's where things got complicated. As Olivia recovered, she started talking about finding her own place. She said she didn't want to overstay her welcome, that she needed to rebuild her independence. The thought of her leaving terrified me, but I understood. She needed to know she was choosing to be with me, not staying because she had no other option. So I helped her look for apartments, drove her to viewings, even though every single one felt like a knife in my heart. Then one evening we were looking at rental listings on her laptop, and I couldn't take it anymore. I closed the laptop, took her hands in mine, and told her I didn't want her to move out. I told her I wanted her to stay, not because she needed a place to live, but because I needed her in my life. I told her I loved her, that I had loved her since the beginning, and that I wanted to build a life with her. I asked her to stay with me, not as someone I was helping, but as my partner, my girlfriend, the woman I wanted to wake up next to every morning for the rest of my life. Olivia cried, but they were happy tears this time. She told me she loved me too, that she had been terrified I only felt obligated to care for her, that learning I truly loved her was the most incredible feeling in the world. She said yes to staying, yes to building a life together, yes to everything. A year later I proposed. I took her back to Memorial Hospital, to that same 4th floor, but this time we walked down the hallway together, holding hands. I had coordinated with the hospital staff ahead of time. They let us into room 427, the same room where we had first met. It was empty that day, no patient inside. I got down on one knee right there next to that hospital bed and told Olivia that this was where my life truly began, the day I met her. I told her that she had turned my world from black and white into full color, that she had taught me what real love felt like, and that I wanted to spend forever making her as happy as she made me. I asked her to marry me. She said yes through tears and laughter. The nurses who had taken care of her during her hospital stay, who I had invited to witness the proposal, came in cheering and crying. It was perfect. The ring I had chosen was simple but elegant, with a single diamond, and when I slipped it on her finger, I knew I was making the best decision of my life. We got married 8 months later, in a small ceremony. Jennifer, the cousin who had sent me to that hospital room, was Olivia's maid of honor. My best friend stood as my best man. During our vows, Olivia talked about how I had found her at her lowest point, when she was hospitalized and abandoned, when she had lost everything and everyone. She said I had given her not just a place to recover, but a reason to believe in love again, a reason to believe that good people still existed. She said marrying me was the easiest decision she had ever made, because I had shown her every single day what true love looked like. During my vows, I told her that walking into that hospital room was supposed to be a quick favor for my cousin, but it had turned into the moment that changed my entire life. I told her that she was the strongest, most beautiful, most talented person I had ever known, and that watching her overcome everything she had been through had made me a better man. I promised to always be the person who showed up for her, who never abandoned her, who loved her through every challenge life threw our way. Our wedding reception was filled with joy and dancing and celebration. Olivia's art was displayed around the venue, pieces she had created during her recovery and after, each one telling a part of our story. One painting showed a dark hospital room with a single beam of light coming through the door, representing the day I walked in. Another showed two hands clasped together, representing our first touch on the couch. Another showed our apartment filled with color and life, representing our home together. Today, we've been married for 2 years. Olivia had her first solo art exhibition 6 months ago, and every single piece sold. Her career has taken off in ways she never imagined. Critics praise her work for its emotional depth, for the way it captures both pain and hope, struggle and triumph. She says that everything she went through, the accident, the abandonment, the recovery, it all made her art more authentic, more powerful. And she says that finding love in the midst of that darkness gave her work a dimension it never had before. We still live in the same apartment where she recovered, though we've made it truly ours now. Her art fills the walls. Our photos together are everywhere, and every corner holds a memory of our journey. Sometimes we sit on that same couch where we first held hands, and we talk about how crazy it is that a random phone call from my cousin led to this entire life we've built together. People ask me all the time if I ever imagined that visiting a stranger in the hospital would lead to marriage. The answer is absolutely not. I thought I was doing a simple favor. I thought I would visit for an hour, report back to Jennifer, and never see Olivia again. But the moment I saw her, something inside me knew. I didn't know we would fall in love. I didn't know we would get married, but I knew somehow that she was going to be important in my life. Olivia says she believes we were meant to find each other, that everything happened exactly as it was supposed to. Her accident, as terrible as it was, led her to me. Her boyfriend abandoning her, her friends disappearing, all of it cleared the path for us to be together. She says that sometimes the worst moments of our lives are actually leading us exactly where we need to be. I think about the version of myself that existed before I walked into that hospital room. I was successful in my career but lonely in my heart. I had convinced myself that real love wasn't something I would find, that I should just focus on work and accept being alone. Then I met Olivia, and everything changed. She brought color into my life, passion, purpose, joy. She made me want to be better, to do more, to live fully instead of just existing. And Olivia, who had lost so much, who had been abandoned by everyone she trusted, found in me someone who would never leave, never give up on her, never walk away when things got hard. I showed her that real love exists, that some people do stay, that she was worthy of being cherished and protected and adored. Our story started in the most unlikely place, in a hospital room with a woman who had been left completely alone. I found my cousin's friend hospitalized and abandoned, and I ended up marrying the love of my life, building a beautiful future with a woman I was supposed to just check on as a favor. That simple act of showing up, of caring enough to stay, of choosing compassion over convenience, it gave me everything I have today. The truth is, we never know when we're going to meet the person who changes our life forever. We never know when a random phone call, a favor for a cousin, a visit to a hospital room will lead to something extraordinary. Love finds us in the most unexpected ways, in the most unexpected places, often when we're not even looking for it. I found Olivia when she needed someone most, but the truth is, I needed her just as much. I needed her kindness, her strength, her incredible spirit that refused to be broken even when life tried so hard to break her. I needed her art and her laughter, and the way she looks at me like I'm her hero. Even though she's the strong one, she's the one who survived and thrived and turned tragedy into triumph. So when people ask me why I took in a stranger from the hospital, why I opened my home and my heart to someone I barely knew, I tell them the truth. I tell them I saw someone who needed help, and I was in a position to give it. I tell them that compassion led me to the greatest love of my life. I tell them that sometimes the best things happen when we stop overthinking and just follow our hearts. Olivia is my wife today and forever. She's my partner, my best friend, the person I want to share every moment with. We talk about starting a family soon, about filling our home with children who will grow up seeing what real love looks like, who will learn that showing up for people matters, that kindness changes lives, that love can be found in the most unexpected places. Every anniversary, we go back to Memorial Hospital. We walk down that fourth-floor hallway, stand outside room 427, and remember where it all began. We remember the scared, hurt woman lying in that bed with no one by her side. We remember the man who walked in planning to stay for an hour and ended up staying for a lifetime. We hold hands in that hallway and thank God for bringing us together, for turning tragedy into blessing, for proving that love really does conquer all. I found my cousin's friend hospitalized and abandoned, and I ended up becoming her family forever, her husband, her home, her heart. Today, we live a beautiful life filled with love and art and joy and purpose. And it all started because I chose to show up, to care, to stay. That choice gave me everything. That choice gave me her.